for his bath from the very next day, that is on Saturday, to the next Friday. So he would start collecting wood, chips, and here and there, getting his store ready, and he would put his pot on the fireplace, etc., and get ready for his preparations. He'd start sewing his shirt. He had only one shirt, and he was sewing it stitch by stitch every day. I used to say, what is he doing? Then Aaron said, look, he has got only one shirt, and he has got to start it stitching. Well, then that was fun for me. Anyway, then Gustaji would start telling me stories about him and about Sai Baba, which I, of course, forget now. So that's that. Now, then again, I was not meeting Baba for days together. I said, how come? Jere said, no, look, don't try and disturb him. So every now and then I would pass by Baba's house, whether I would get a chance of meeting Baba. One day I remember, it was Guru Purnima day. And on that day, luckily in the evening, I saw Baba standing on the veranda. And then Baba just did like this to me and waited for some minutes. And he says, are you happy? He says, all right, yes. And then from a distance I said yes, and then I made like this, and then I was very, very happy. And all the time I remembered about Baba. The next I remembered was I had an urge to recite some prayer before Baba. This prayer was from some Zoroastrian language, and I thought of reciting this prayer from the nearby garden, which was that was a palm garden. And every morning before sunrise, I used to go there and recite this prayer, which Baba was incidentally hearing that prayer. But one day, I was called to Baba, and Eresh told me that Baba wants someone to recite prayers to him. I said, well, there is our priest, Zoroastrian priest, who could recite it very nicely. No, Baba said, not that way. He wants someone. He said, why can't you do it? I said, all right, I don't know, I'm not very good at it. So, no, but Eresh said, you must try. Then actually, for one day, some 3 days, Baba called me for the reciting of this prayer. One stanza was given to me, and he made me recite it, which Baba said he liked it, but not the way he wanted it. So, for some quite a number of days, Baba made me repeat one stanza of that prayer repeatedly to him over and over again. And then, incidentally, as this was in Zoroastrian language, which was sort of Greek and Latin to me, Aloba was called in, and Aloba was made to recite the correct pronunciations, and I had to catch that up. And then finally, when Baba was ready for these prayers, he made me Kohiyar. Kuhu means the mountains, and Yar means the friend from the mountains. This is what Baba named me. I first saw Baba in 1947 in Satara. He was having a March Darshan, and we were all invited there. And my father, mother, and the whole family went there. And he beckoned my father and gave him prasad of some fruit, which we enjoyed later on. Then he told my father, Baba told my father, yes, what the meaning was, that he told my father that he was the God-man. Later on, I never met Baba for several years, till 1954, when Baba came over to Mahabaleshwar. I had a strange dream, and in that dream, I first saw Sai Baba. And then Sai Baba beckoned me and told me why he had come to Mahabaleshwar. And later on, only after about a month, I met Meher Baba. I was very much attracted to Baba then, and so I thought of sending him some flowers. So I sent him some roses. These roses I sent to him without my giving him any intention of giving him my name or address. In the afternoon, the whole Mandali was sent to me. That is, Airaj and Pendu and the whole Mandali came to me. And he says, "Did you send flowers to Baba?" I said, "Yes." Then I said, "Why did you do it in this sort of way? You ought to have sent these flowers in the most practical way, and Baba didn't like the way you sent him the flowers." So I said, "I'm sorry about it." Then later on, he says, "Very way, don't come to Baba till you are called for." So I kept my patience for some months. And then in April again, I remember the dates, and it was 7th of April. Again I got the urge of meeting Baba. So someone told me that Baba is on an early walk. So I went for that place. That was on the Satara road from here, about 1 mile. And I incidentally met Baba walking along with Rano. And then I went to Baba. I just met him, didn't again introduce myself, and then ran back to my house. And that same afternoon, I had to go to Bombay for some of my important work. And when I returned from Bombay, I was told by my parents that the Mandali had been asking repeatedly about myself, and they were worrying my parents as to where I had gone. And when I returned from Bombay, I was told by my parents that the Mandali had been asking repeatedly about myself, and they were worrying my parents as to where I had gone and when I would be returning. And so incidentally, that very day when I returned from Bombay, Airich and the Mandali came to my house, and they said, "Look, you were asked not to contact Baba. And why did you contact Baba that day?" So I said I just couldn't help doing so. And then they said, "Well, Baba was very happy to meet you, but anyway he has warned that you should not try and contact him again till you are called for." I said, "Yes, I'll keep the promise then." So then it was in the second week of May 1954 where Pendu and Airich walked in my father's shop again and said, "Look, well, Baba wants you to do some of his work." And I was very happy to hear that because I was so keen on it. So I said, "Very well, I'll do the work." Then Airich said, "Look, that's not that easy. It's some work which is very important, and don't be rash in saying so." So I said, "All right, tell me what it is." He said, then Meher said, "Look, if you are 10% sure that you will do the Baba work, 10% correct, only then we are going to tell you." I said, "All right, but you tell me." So then they came inside and told me what the work meant. So he said, "Look, Baba wants you to go around this town and gather 56 persons. And these 56 persons from the working class of people, they should not be beggars or just moving around about the street. They should be working people, working men. And mind you, you should never tell them that they are being taken to Baba and what Baba meant to do with them." I said, "How could that be possible?" Then Airich said, "Why did you say you will do the work? Don't ask questions. Now try and be sure and get the work done." I said, "All right, I'll do it, and I'm sure I'll do it nicely." So the work started the next day, and I started collecting these 56 persons. And Baba wanted a history of each and every person, who they were, what they were doing, and they must be family persons. That was one of the conditions. So I incidentally was able to get these 56 persons roundabout. And now the very difficult task was, on that appointed day, which was, I think, if I remember correct, it was the 3rd of June 1954. So I had to take them round, and I didn't have to tell them where they were to be taken. So that was a problem. So I made a detour of the place. So I took them somewhere else and took them to some other place. instead of taking to Aga Khan's bungalow where Baba was. I didn't have to tell them where they were to be taken. So that was a problem. So I made a detour of the place. So I took them somewhere else and took them to some other place instead of taking to Aga Khan's bungalow where Baba was residing at that time. And luckily no one asked me any questions, what it was, where they were taken to or what for and all that sort of thing. So I took them to the Aga Khan's bungalow, and one by one they were asked to get ready, and I took them in the house where Baba was ready for the job. And Baba bowed to each of them and gave them a prasad and gave them some money, I think. And I had to read out to Baba who they were, introduce to them. Accordingly, one by one, the job was done. When one of the men was standing, Baba says, "This is not the right person you have brought." So I said, "How?" He says, "Look, this man appears to be, he is in fact a moneylender." I said, "No, Baba, he couldn't be, because I checked up." He said, "No, better check up and you'll find out what it is." Later on, I did find out that he was a moneylender. Anyway, Baba, then after the job was done, all the 56 persons were distributed the prasad and all. Baba said, "You did the job first time and you've done it thoroughly well, and I'm very happy about it. Now, tomorrow I'll be going back to Satara, and when I go to Satara, I want you to come and keep contact with me always." So luckily, the next day also, I went to Baba when Baba was leaving for Satara. And my whole family went, my wife, my children, and we all went, my old parents, we all went and met Baba. Baba embraced us all. And then Baba left for Satara. Later, in Satara, I had the luck of meeting Baba again, and I had the urge of meeting Baba. Then Baba sent a word through me that he was in seclusion, he should not be disturbed. And so I had to wait for some time, but then Baba gave me the permission that you better keep on meeting the Mandali every day. And time was given to me from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, that was the time. You go to the Mandali and keep contact with them. So then I had the luck of and joy of meeting Erich and Pendu, Aloba and Gustaji. And I had the pleasure of watching Gustaji's antics, his birthday especially. But Baba's birthday for Gustaji was Friday. And on Friday, he would start preparing for his bath from the very next day, that is on Saturday, to the next Friday. So he would start collecting wood, chips and here and there, getting his store ready for these prayers. He made me recite these prayers, and which I am now going to recite exactly as what Baba had taught me. Paname Yezdan Satae Zabaim Nahadaramazda Rayoman Nakoremal Harwish Peagaha Keradekar Koda Vande Koda Vanadal Shah Barhame Padshah Negehedar Khaliq Makhluq Al-Razaq Rozi Dain Dahe Kahadir O Kabir O Qadim Bakshayande Bakshayerdigard Meheraban Tavana Vodana Vodadar O Pak Parvardigar. Now I shall read the translation of this prayer. In the name of God, I praise and utter Almighty God, full of glory, full of radiance, all-knowing, preserver. In the name of God, I praise and utter Almighty God, full of glory, full of radiance, all-knowing, preserver of all, God of gods, King of kings, protector of all, creator of all things created, bestower of bounties, and giver of food to all, Lord of nature, O Almighty, O Ancient One, Forgiver, bestower of grace, O Merciful, Omnipotent, O Omniscient, O Lord of all, O Nourisher of purity. Faname Yazdan Satayim Zabayim Nadarahu Ramazda Rayoman Koremal Harvish Peagaha Keradigar Koda Vande Koda Vanadan Padshah Barhame Padshah Negehedar Khalik Makhluq Al-Razaq Rozi Dain Dahe Kahadir O Kabir O Qadim Bakshayande Bakshayerdigard Meheraban Tavana Vodana Vodadar O Pak Parvardigar, Pak Parvardigar. Jai Baba. Now, there's a story about this prayer. Well, Baba made me repeat this prayer over and over again for almost 40-50 days. And one day, he asked me to go to Pune to recite this prayer before Gaimai, Erich's mother. And I had to go and recite this prayer. And they wanted to learn this prayer. So I taught them this prayer. Then later on, I had to go to the lady Mandali, of course, keeping outside, and I had to sing this prayer to them also. They appreciated this prayer. Then all of the Mandali, Donkin and all, they had to hear this prayer over and over again. Then one day, Baba said, you have to come with me to Bombay, because Baba was going there for darshan there, to the Ashiana. And Baba took me to Bombay to recite the prayer. At that time, I didn't have enough money even to go to Bombay. So then Baba made me do some typing job and paid me money to go to Bombay. And I went to Bombay to recite this prayer. And I recited the prayer before a group of Zoroastrian ladies. And they all liked it immensely. And then Baba said, look, this is how the prayer is meant to be said. And it's not to mumble jumble. That's how you recite in the Zoroastrian temples. That's that. And then on my way back, Baba said, you have got to come with me in my own car. But he said, unfortunately from Bombay to Pune, I've got some more people with me. There's not a seat enough for you. So you join me from Pune onwards for the journey to Satara. So Aloba and myself entrained at Bombay in the morning train. And we left for Pune. I think it was 7 o'clock in the morning when we entrained. We left the outskirts of Bombay. And some mischievous thought occurred to me. I said, look, Baba is God. If he wants, he can stop this train this very minute. And lo, believe me, the train stopped. And what happened? Just between two stations, we were stranded. What had happened was the cables on the top and the current catcher on top of the electrical engine had snapped to pieces. It was a very funny sort of incident. And then we were stranded for hours together, and we couldn't reach Pune at the scheduled time. And Baba was asking Eraj to go and fetch us from the railway station at Pune, and we wouldn't come. Said what had happened, and repeatedly Eraj would come to the Pune station, we were told later, to go and find out as to why we had not come. It was so, with Ramdas, there was one yogi. Now this yogi asked Ramdas whether he can't cross over the river in the floods. And Ramdas said, no, we can't. Well, I think I didn't tell you that Ramdas was a guru, was a master in Shivaji's time, residing near Satara. And Ramdas says, well, I don't know how to cross the river in these floods. Usually I take the boat, and for which it's a penny fare. It's hardly a penny. So I wait for the floods to subside and then cross over the river. The yogi said, no, how could that be? I can cross it over just like this. Well, I'm surprised, Ramdas said. And the yogi said, well, I'll do it for you. If I want, I'll go along and cross the river myself. So he walked on the water, they say, and he came back walking on the river. Ramdas said, is that so? Well, this is the fare I can give you for, and kept a penny in his hand. Well, he said, what's this for? It's your fare, he says. Why are you wasting your energy? It's hardly worth a penny, he says. I would not do such a cheap sort of thing. it's senseless to do such a thing. So Baba said, that's that. That's exactly what has been done by you. It's senseless to harass people like that and do such cheap thoughts. It's senseless. So that's that now. Now, whenever there was an occasion, Baba made me recite this prayer over and over again. And even when Baba came to Mahabaleshwar, I had to recite this prayer to him. And then in Sahwas of 1955, I had to recite this prayer before Baba. And then again in 58, this was to be recited before the group of Sahwasis. And so that kept on for a long time. And till today, of course, I always repeat this prayer. And Baba said, one day you will find out what this prayer means. Well, today I know that this prayer is going to reach the far corners of the world exactly as Baba had said. And this is what is happening. That's that. Now, I would like to tell you some other stories about Baba. One day in 1955, that was, I think, the date was given by Baba to me to be 7th of April 1955. And I got a letter from Marriage that select a secluded spot and get the spot, to the spot 100 people. And these 100 people should be from the locals, men and women. This 100 people should be from the local population, men and women, and from all walks of life, community. And they should not be beggars, mind you, they should be working class of people, should be from the local population, men and women, and from all walks of life, community. And they should not be beggars, mind you, they should be working class of people. And Baba knew that I knew the job well, because he had first told me about this 56 people and now these were 100. So I went around the town getting information about this 56 people, this 100 people, I'm sorry. And on that appointed day, on the 7th of April 1955, I selected a spot very near this Ripon Hotel and brought them to the spot where Baba had previously come in and sat. Now Baba washed feet of all these 100 people one by one and gave them prasad, and I had to read out the individual record of these people, what they were doing and all this biography of these people. And there was a man with a silver chain on. And Baba said, look, this man appears to be prosperous. He has got a silver chain on and a medallion on it. So he appears to be quite a well-to-do man. I said, no, Baba, he is from a normal walk of life. He's a working class of men. So Baba then laughed, he smiled, and he said, no, don't worry, this time you have brought the right man, don't worry. He's not a moneylender this time, all right. Then there was some washermen, some working people, and all that sort of thing. Baba was very happy. Then Baba, we had a sort of a picnic there, and Baba made me recite that prayer again. And then there was one Sahastra Bude Master, who was a very old devotee of Baba. And this Sahastra Bude was a local man. He had always helped Baba when there was a Sahwas in Naga. And he used to cater for almost 1,000 people at a time. He was very expert in it. So I remember Sahastra Bude was there, and of course the Erich and the Mandali, some of the Mandali, Pendu was there. And after the picnic, we went to for a drive to Arthur Seat. Baba took us to Arthur Seat. And then I'll tell you a story about Arthur Seat, which is very near about here, about 7-8 miles here. In the front, we just see a point which is just near Arthur Seat. And I'll tell you later on a story of Arthur Seat, where Baba had told a beautiful story. But I'll tell you the story right on the spot, if you like. And then later on, Baba told me, I would like to see your parents. And so we drove to the town. And we drove to the town, and I had to call my parents out because Baba said I would not come to the house, but you better get them on the street. So I got my parents there to meet Baba. Baba embraced them and told them how happy he was to meet them, and of course my parents were most elated. And there was one funny instance happening on that very time, where we had got my parents there to meet Baba. Baba embraced them and told them how happy he was to meet them, and of course my parents were most elated. And there was one funny instance happening on that very time, where we had parked the car. There were some few Brahmins reciting something. There was some home, that is some local prayer going on there. And seeing Baba, they all ran out, and they were so interested in Baba, they forgot about the prayer completely, and they folded their hands before Baba, and Baba gave them, I don't think Baba gave them some prasad. Baba talked to them something like that, some gesticulate to them, and Erich had to read out some sort of a message to them. And that's that. Now Baba drove over the entire vicinity of the town, and then Baba drove off for Satara, and I felt very sad to leave Baba that day. That was 55 April. Then again one day I get a letter from Erich. This was in the end of May 1955, that Baba along with some of the women Mandali is coming over to Mahabaleshwar on the 1st of June 1955, and he would like me to contact him. And he asked, he gave some instructions that my mother should cook for him some rice and masala dal, and actually I should not even tell my mother as for whom the cooking was to be done for. So, but then on the 1st of June, when the day arrived, in the morning I told mother that I would like her to cook some masala dal and rice. It's known as dhan shak in Parsi. So she cooked for me. Then she asked me, how did I want this thing to be? Then I said, I'm going out for a picnic with someone and I'd like to carry it. So I had to carry it myself for Baba. And then we drove around the important places here. Then Baba particularly asked me that he would like to go to a spot from where Pratapgarh is seen. Now, for your interest, I would like to tell you, Pratapgarh is a fortress of Shivaji. You might have heard and you might have known of Shivaji, that he was the local chieftain 300 years back. And he did a lot of work for his own people here. He fought some wars, local wars, and he had fortresses all around Maharashtra, not only in Maharashtra, in Gujarat and so many places. He is a very important person. So he would like to see the place from where the fortress is being seen. So I took him to a point from where the fortress can be very easily seen. So Baba walked over the point and walked to and fro, and Baba said, my work is done. I didn't know at that time what the work was, from where the fortress can be very easily seen. So Baba walked over the point and walked to and fro, and Baba said, my work is done. I didn't know at that time what the work was, but I found out on the 1st of June 1955, a very important and a decisive meeting was being held in the local staff house, government staff house, where the leaders were deciding to raise a statue of Shivaji on the fortress. And that's what I believe, that Baba must have got the work done that way. And then I completely forgot about this incidents. Well, one day in 1958, when Baba had come here for rest after a service, he again evinced great interest in the statue, and he says, look, Kohiyar, you take me to the place where the statue has been installed. And we drove to the place that is Pratapgarh Fortress, and Baba of course couldn't walk the steps, so we had to point out to him, that's the statue there. And he felt immensely happy to see Shivaji sitting on the horse, pointing a sword that way. Of course, we'll take pictures of later on Pratapgarh Fortress and all that. So that's that. So that's the incidents in 58. Then I will tell you the instance of Baba visiting this Ripon Hotel. That was in November 56. And incidentally, that also happened to be 7th of November 56. And that was in connection with some very important work Baba was going to do. Baba resided here for the night, and the next day he said, look, take me to several places because I am planning an East and West gathering here, and I would like to see some important bungalows here. And he was also planning to place some people here, and this was going to be the central place where all the people could congregate and meet Baba and all this sort of thing, the usual Savas type of thing. So that was in 57. He stayed here. The women Mandali also came along, and they were staying in room number 10 in the corner there. Then there was, of course, Erich, and Baba slept in one of the rooms for the night, and then we roamed over all the places. My wife and my children, of course, had a good time. They were so happy to have Baba here, and they were immensely happy. They arranged for Baba's cooking and Baba's stay and all these arrangements. My wife did some festooning, that is toran, what we call in Gujarati, and then the chalk, the usual decoration and all that. They arranged for Baba's cooking and Baba's stay and all this arrangements. My wife did some festooning, that is toran, what we call in Gujarati, and then the chalk, the usual decoration and all that sort of thing. Baba felt immensely happy. And when I came to this Ripon Hotel, I was just, that 56 was my first experience of Ripon Hotel, because I had just taken over Ripon Hotel and I didn't know how to manage. So I was very poor at catering and all that sort of thing, and I didn't have the right crockery and cutlery for Baba. So Baba said, what have you cooked and all? He went into every detail, minutest detail of this. So then he made me go in and contact Shastra Budhe, the man who I told about just now. And Shastra Budhe came along and he managed the cooking, and he brought some dishes along with him, and so God's prasad was made, and we all enjoyed it that time. That was in 56. Then there is one instance when Baba came over in 1958, and in 1958 Baba stayed over for 1 full month in a place known as Shapur Hall, which is very nearby. Now the Shapur Hall, when Baba was coming to the Shapur Hall, he sent me instructions through Erich that no one should know that Baba is coming and staying over to Mahabaleshwar. And I have not to tell even my parents, not even to tell my wife or my children that Baba is coming and staying over here. But my wife somehow found out. I forgot the letter on the table, and she read the letter of Erich, and she says, well, Baba is coming over, and she wanted to make some arrangements for his arrival. But there was a clear-cut warning for her that she should not try and contact Baba or try to see him. So she, anyway, she felt no, because God-man is coming to our place and we must try and welcome him. So she went over trying to make preparations for Baba's arrival. But when she was going to get some stencils, you know those chalk, what we put, those stencils, her leg slipped and she fell, and she developed a very sore knee, and it was so painful she had to be bedridden for practically the entire stay of Baba, for the month. And then when Baba arrived, he asked me in his usual with a smiling face. He said, "What happened?" I said, "Look, Baba, my wife, Rati, she is named Rati, she had a fall. Then I had to tell him, Baba, about all the things that had happened." She said, "I had warned you not to tell her about my arrival and etc. But then I told her what had happened actually. Anyway, I had to tell him, Baba, about all the things that had happened." She said, "I had warned you not to tell her about my arrival and etc. But then I told her what had happened actually. Anyway, Baba said, keep her in bed. And then Baba used to send the Mandali every day to meet my wife Rati. And they used to tell Rati more and more of Baba's stories. And in fact, she was getting more of Baba than myself, because she came to know all about Baba and all the Baba stories from the beginning right till 1958. And one day, even not satisfied with that, Rati said that she would very much like to meet Baba in spite of all her pain and all that. She would like to meet Baba in person. And I went and told Baba. Well, Baba was so kind. She said, she can't come over to my place. Then I will go and personally meet Rati. But I won't come to the room. I will just stand right in front of your room, and she can look at me as long as she wants. And Baba was so kind. He came all over here right in front of her room, and Rati had the advantage of seeing Baba for quite some time. And of course, now naturally, with Baba being here, I had to go to Baba every day for 2 hours in the afternoon to be with Baba and watch Baba. So one day, the women Mandali had made for Baba some carrot juice. Now this carrot juice was made with great pains and great love by the women Mandali. And then Baba just sipped just a sip. And he said, I don't like the taste of this, made a wry face. And he passed it over to all of us, and we had to sip one by one. We enjoyed the carrot juice. It was delicious. Then one day, after he was having his meals, he kept part of the meal. That was just dal and rice and a bit of a mango pickle, and which he passed it on to me, which I also enjoyed very much, and I ate it off. So much so that even sort of didn't keep even a morsel of it in the plate. That's what I remember about. And then I have not told you about the Savas in 1954 and the great congregation in 1954, the end of September. Luckily, I was there. And when Garge Maharaj was there in 1954, it was, I think, 12th of September of 54, and I saw a huge congregation of thousands upon thousands upon thousands. I think it was tens of thousands of people gathered together. And it was a sight to see. Such a sight I think one would never see again. And Baba was looking lovely and distributing prasad to each and every one. He was paying individual gathered together. And it was a sight to see. Such a sight I think one would never see again. And Baba was looking lovely and distributing prasad to each and every one. He was paying individual attention to each and every one, and caressing some, handing over the prasad, embracing some people. Some people were in tears, and it was a sight of sight, and Garge Maharaj and all were there. And that was in 54. Then after that, there was mass feeding of the poor, and Baba and Garge Maharaj were sharing the food with them. And I remember Baba and Garge Maharaj were sitting and having the food. I happened to be nearby, and Baba gave some prasad to us, and we enjoyed that prasad also very much. That was in 54, 12th of September. Then I was called again for the big day. That was the declaration, universal message, I think it was. And that was the day when thousands and more people had gathered at Meherabad. And just before this program, it started pouring and pouring and pouring. It poured and poured such a lot that for the whole place got flooded. There was ankle-deep water everywhere, and the fields round about were so much flooded that one had to wade through them. Some fields were so soft that we sank in quite knee-deep, I remember. And then there was a problem of cooking and making food arrangements for all the sort. But Baba looked and supervised to each and everything himself. And he looked, and then he made us take aspirin, all of us. So many tablets of aspirin were called for, and each and every one of us was given aspirin so that we couldn't catch cold. So and then the great time came for the gathering and for the declaration and all. The Baba was sitting on a dais, beautiful, radiant face, lovely he was. And then the declaration was read over, and Baba embraced each and every one. And I remember the touching embrace of Baba. It was so touching, it was so touching. It's very difficult to describe that touch of Baba. I felt very deeply affected at that time. So that was in 54. Then I remember the day when Baba dropped his letter board, that alphabetical board. It was, I think, 7th of October 1954. And that instance also I remember. There was one instance in Satara when Baba was telling us that he has finished some of his important work. He was in seclusion for some time. Was telling us that he has finished some of his important work. He was in seclusion for some time, and he had finished his important work. He was bringing out the book, The Die is Cast. And I remember at that time, he gathered all the Mandali and explained to them what it was. And then he asked us to repeat God's name. For instance, he asked me to repeat Ya Yazdan. And then Ramju Bhai, he had to repeat Allah's name, and so on and so forth. Someone had to say Om, someone had to say O Parvardigar, and all this sort of thing. So after that repetition of the names, I remember that Baba looked up from his chair, and then at that very precise moment I could hear some very funny noise on the roof, krrr, like that. So as if there was a sudden rainfall, and Baba looked up and gesticulated. He says, that's that. And I have done some very important work today, and that was the book, that small pamphlet, the Die is Cast. Now, again in 55, one day I was sitting at my home, and a lady walks in, and he says, look, I want to meet Baba. She was a Parsi lady from Karachi. Well, I said, look, Baba is in seclusion, and I'm sure he won't meet you. But she insisted, take me there. I don't know the way. And I had to take her there. She introduced herself, and she was well known to the Mandali, it seems. And she was Rhoda Dubash from Karachi. Baba allowed her to come in and met her, and then Baba asked me, go home, feed her, and then come back after your lunch. So we went over to my father-in-law's house. We had our hasty meal of, I don't remember, dal and rice or something, and then came back to Baba. Baba asked me the question, well, what did you have for lunch, and what did you give her for lunch? Well, I just couldn't recollect that time what it was. And but what had happened was, at that time when we were having a lunch, a tiny fly had come, and I had swished off the fly. And so Baba said, look, you need not tell me what you had for lunch, because I can even become a fly and see what you have eaten. So don't worry. Then Baba asked me a very odd question. This is Baba. Baba said, do you love me? I said, yes, of course, I love you. And the more I see of you, very odd question. This is Baba. Baba said, do you love me? I said, yes, of course, I love you. And the more I see of you, I want to see the more and more. And I'm very thirsty of you, Baba. I love you, of course. Why not? Well then, will you do anything I tell you? Well, of course, Baba. I shall definitely do what you say. Then Baba said, well then, be sure that you will do whatever I tell you. I said, of course, why not? And he said, well, go home and cut your son to pieces. I said, how could that be? Baba, I can't do that sort of a thing. That's something impossible. Well then, what's your love useful? You don't obey me. I said, no, Baba, I won't be able to do that sort of a thing. Then he asked a question straight away to Rhoda Dubash. He said, well, will you be able to do that sort of a thing? And she straight away said, yes, Baba, definitely I'll do that. So Baba said, look, this is what I want. I'm so happy with this sort of a love. This is love. So she is so rich in my love for me. And then he says, Rhoda, I'm indeed very proud of you and very happy of you. And then Rhoda left for Karachi the next day. And after a few days, we were all shocked to get a telegram saying that Dubash's son had dropped his body. I was very shocked with that news. And later on we found out that what had happened was, this son of Rhoda had climbed on to the terrace of one of the buildings where she was residing there, and he was a small child, and he dropped from the terrace, and naturally after such a big fall he had died. And now look at Rhoda. At that time Baba had given us all instructions to keep on repeating his name. And at that time, when the boy fell down from the terrace, it is said that Rhoda was reciting the name of Baba. It was her turn to recite the prayer of Baba. And she was told the sad news. She was not at all disturbed with the news. And she kept on repeating Baba's name. And later on also, at the time of the ceremony, the burial and all the sort of thing, Rhoda was kept on repeating the name of Baba, not being disturbed at all by this incident. So that's that. I was really amazed with all this. So one day, there is another instance in Satara. This was, I remember, it must be in 56. That's that. I was really amazed with all this. So one day, there is another instance in Satara. This was, I remember, it must be in 56 July or so. Baba was planning to go to the west. And he was busy planning his itinerary with Heritage, and I remember at that day Meherji was also there, and they were busy planning the itinerary for his western tour, the world tour I think. And I was outside. And I have a very loud voice. And I was joking and frolicking with the other Mandali members and making fun. So Baba got disturbed with that all this. So quietly and slyly he came from the back and whacked his slipper at me. Of course it didn't hit me, it flew past. I said, what are you doing? Says, I am busy planning my things here and you are disturbing me. Said, don't you ever do it again. So I was very shy about it and I felt very odd. So that was that. There was another instance in Satara. That was the instance of Ramdas. Baba was in seclusion and he said, don't disturb me at all. And we were all called, Baba's Mandali, and I was also called in. Baba, make us wash our feet, and Baba bowed down to the Mandali, and then he said, look, for some 40 days I will be in strict seclusion. Nobody is to come and disturb me, and nobody is to come and see me here. That was Jal Villa, I remember. And Baba took us round in the Jal Villa, and he showed us the particular room where Baba was to sit in the seclusion. I think only Erich was allowed to go in at that time. But one day, boy from United Provinces, from Hamirpur, comes in to my house in Satara, to my father-in-law's house in Satara, and tells me to take him to Baba. Well, he was just looking like a fakir. He was naked. He had just a loincloth around him. And I said, look, you seem to be knowing Baba, but I can't take you to Baba because there are strict orders not to take anyone to Baba. I said, oh, but anyway, I'll try. So I took him to the Mandali's quarters. And he met Erich and introduced himself, saying that he was a man from Hamirpur and he very much liked to meet Baba. But Erich said, look, as far as I know, Baba has given us instructions not to bring anyone to him. And anyway, since you have come from such a great distance, I'll try and tell Baba that you have come. Erich went to the distant bungalow where Baba was and come from such a great distance, I'll try and tell Baba that you have come. Erich went to the distant bungalow where Baba was and Baba told Erich not to bring the man to him. And this Ramdas started crying and he says, no, I must beat Baba. Let me have at least a glimpse of Baba. I would just like to have a glimpse of Baba for 1 minute. And so Erich had to go all the way again to convey the message. And so Baba said, well, if that man loves me so much and he has come all the way, well, bring him in. But on one condition, that he can just watch me from outside the window. He is not to come in, and bring Kohiyar also along with him. So I had the privilege also to accompany him. And we went to this Jal Villa. We saw Baba, of course, radiant and beautiful as ever. And I was very happy to see Baba even in his seclusion. And I saw Baba as Baba naturally. And this man started jumping about and saying, oh, I've seen God in person. I'm seeing Ram. I'm seeing Krishna and Mahadev and all these sort of things. And I was wondering what this could be. And he started crying and tears in his eyes. And he says, oh, I'm so happy that I had a glimpse of Baba at last. And this is God, he's God man, I know. He's Krishna. And then Baba said, now go. Your time is over. So we sadly left and turned around and we left. Again, Erich snapped his fingers and said, look, Baba wants you to come over and have a second glimpse at Baba. So we had a second glimpse of Baba. Again this man jumped and danced with joy and said, oh, this is not Baba, this is God. This is, you don't know, he is Krishna. I see him as Krishna. I see him with his flute and all this. It was a beautiful sight to see. And of course, that was Ramdas. And then later on, Ramdas told us a story about a boy at his native place. This Ramdas was doing some Baba work at a house. And when he was doing some Baba work, a boy who was sick in that house suddenly dropped his body, he said. And the people there were much perturbed and disturbed, and the parents especially said, stop this Baba work, and we don't any more of this. And Ramdas was also naturally disturbed. He says, how come when I'm doing this Baba work, how come? How come? So he was, Ramdas said, bring the boy on to me. The boy was taken by Ramdas on his lap, and he said, let the boy